You're live.
Welcome, everyone, to the best sports betting show on the planet. This is WagerTalk Today. I am your host, Andy Lang. It is $5 Tuesday. We're going to give you the blueprint to attack college football, NFL preseason, and MLB. If you're not following the trends, not following the steam, you're already behind. We're going to get you up to speed. The show is where you get the sharp perspective, the right angles, and the plays that really move the needle. Ralph Michaels is going to join us. We're going to talk Fresno State and Kansas. We're also going to talk Steelers and the Panthers NFL preseason. Bryan Power is going to join us, talk Guardians and the Diamondbacks. Then we're going to talk a little Texas A&M and Oregon futures here. Maybe some season win totals, maybe just how we want to bet them throughout the season or at least to start the season. So don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the WagerTalk YouTube channel. At the end of the show, I will do Dana White Contender Series, quick little breakdown. I'll try and make a case for every underdog on the card, so stay tuned for that. Let's do a quick Steam report. Gianni is recording for Contender Series with UFC, so he's not here. So let's start in NFL preseason. Not a ton of movement. Carolina has taken a little bit of money. We're going to get Ralph breaking down that, but not a ton of movement there. The biggest movement by far, New England started off at -2.5. They are up to -6.5. So blasting through key numbers. Also some movement on the over on that one. The New York Jets opened up at half. They've moved up to 3 against Dan's Philadelphia Eagles. The Jets have looked truly horrendous in preseason, so my guess is this line is saying they need to get some of their stuff right. We talked a little bit about the Falcons being faded, but money has come back in on the Falcons stay even after we talked about it yesterday. So other than that, I don't see a whole lot of movement for NFL preseason. Some of the total, I don't see totals yet going over 40. So looks like these totals are still coming in under 40. We saw a lot of unders kind of with that regression back to the mean. Going to WNBA, I don't see a lot. New York has taken a little bit. They went from -1 to -3. If you're betting the Chicago Sky game, check the injury report. Angel Reese has been upgraded to questionable instead of doubtful. That's a big, big deal with this line for the Seattle. Seattle's -11.5, and that Chicago Skies team is much, much better with Angel Reese in the lineup. Other than that, not a whole lot of steam in WNBA. And we move to MLB. The only really big move I see is this monster number on the Dodgers. They opened at -265. I'm seeing -300 over at a book, and looks like there's some under money coming in on this Houston-Detroit game. All you Detroit Tigers fans, and happy Scooball Day. There's money come in on Houston, and there's a little bit of money come in on the over, so I'm not sure what they're seeing with Scooball and Brown going, but they're not liking the Detroit Tigers today. Other than that, not a whole lot of movement of note. I guess the only other one, there's a lot of money's come in on the money line on Philly, and we're going to go over Philly in all around the world. So that's going to be your Steam report. Let's jump to Ralph Michaels. We got to talk a little football. We have to talk college football and NFL preseason. Ralph, how are you, sir? How was your weekend, brother? Happy Tuesday to you.
Hell, Andy, it's been months since I've been on WagerTalk Today. Happy to be back now that football started. You know, just doing the no-run first inning in the summer has kept me off the show. But excited, looking forward. We'll bring back the charts next week, making you a better each week on the segment. So excited for the football season to start.
Yeah, well, let's start with, let's start Fresno State and Kansas. And, both teams do have some returning players here. I know Warner is going to be back for Kansas. This is Kurt Warner's son, I believe. Walk us through this game. Tell us everything you know about these teams, who's coming back, what's been the changes, and what do you expect? Kansas, pretty big favorite in this one.
Well, Andy, when you're sitting at a bar this week, ask them which game matches up a pair of national championship coaches. Well, guess what? It's this game. Fresno State and Kansas played Saturday, August 23rd, 6:30 p.m. on Fox. Matt Entz takes over Fresno State. He was at North Dakota State for 5 years. His record was 60-11, and he was a two-time national champion at North Dakota State. He did actually leave 2 years ago. He was the USC linebacker coach last year, but this is a qualified head coach that knows how to get his team to win. On the flip side, while he hasn't had that same type of success, let's remember that Lance Leopold was a 6-time national championship at D3 Wisconsin Whitewater. So 2 coaches coming up through the ranks now have these teams. Kansas off a 5-7 season. You just had the team switched before. Kansas does return their quarterback. That is Jalen Daniels. Listen, he's mobile. He can get some first downs, but hopefully he's matured a bit. 57% with a 14-12 ratio last year is not what you expect from a multi-year starting quarterback. They lost their top 6 receivers, did Kansas, and they have 3 new offensive linemen starting. Overall, off that 5-7 season, they returned 10 starters, and their incoming talent was number 61. Fresno State had an off year. We thought we were expecting a lot of them a couple years ago. They had success. Remember, they had a coaching issue, and he had to step down in the spring, so they had to reset and bring in a new coach for last year. Now they hire another new coach. That concerns me long term, but in this quick instance, you mentioned they bring in E.J. Warner. He is a transfer. He is the son of Hall of Famer Kurt. He had 11 starts at Temple a couple years ago, 10 or 11 starts at Rice last year. And I did like his maturation process with the Owls starting last season. Again, I make this line 15, but early in the year, all I do is put down my power rating numbers, where I think they should be. But early in the year, I don't use my power rating numbers at all. I am not at everyone's camp. Yes, I can read what the media tries to tell us. But again, until I actually see a team play, I won't start using their power ratings completely till weeks 2, 3, or 4 for those. I do want to say this. Kansas has won their last 3 openers by 45, 31, and 46 points. Now, well, that sounds impressive. All 3 are against FCS foes. And last year, they didn't even cover. They were a 47-point favorite. I look at Kansas over the last 2 years, 0-4 against the spread as a double-digit favorite. They're not one to extend the lead. Overall, when I look at college football teams playing their season opener as a favorite of 7 or more the last 2 years, they're only 45.2%. And if it's a lower total and you're a favorite of 7 or more, it is actually 42.3% against the spread the last 2 seasons. Kansas will run the ball more. Fresno State will run the ball more. In this case, I lean Fresno. I think he can get the job done, keep this game lower scoring. But my best bet for the show, under 51, Jayhawks and Bulldogs, Saturday night.
Do you expect some of these teams, and I'm not necessarily meaning these 2 teams, but are there some teams that you're like, oh, they've got returning coaches and quarterbacks, their offenses are going to be a lot more clicking than some of these other teams, or there's some teams you're going way too many moving parts here. We're looking at unders, because you brought up a good point about looking at this under in this game. So are there teams that you're looking at situationally with over and unders in week 1, trying to work out the kinks, or maybe they have continuity?
Well, Andy, up until 3 years ago, I used to be 99% set at the start of college football season. But with the transfers now, and, with as many people moving in and out, and these freshmen coming in and playing immediately, I try not to say this team is going to be this much better. I have an idea they are. I give them an up arrow. I wait to see what happens. But I've learned this. There's teams that I thought were going to be horrible, and coaches were magnificent, melding in their transfers to have positive teams. So it's eye test what I read and what I break down on the roster the first few weeks. And then after that, I don't even worry how many starters they had. I don't worry how many transfers they have. It's all eye test for me week 3 and on.
Let's move to the NFL preseason. Steelers and the Panthers. Admittedly, these are 2 teams I have not really followed that much. Obviously we know Aaron Rodgers, and we know a little bit about the Panthers, but I feel like the Panthers kind of flying under the radar here a little bit. I have high hopes for the Panthers in the regular season. I think they're going to surprise some people, but for this preseason game, we got Pittsburgh -4.5 over under, just a really low 36.5. What do you expect in this game?
Well, you had mentioned week 0 and week 1, preseason over-unders went 14-3. Now, while they fell back a little bit last week, They still went 8-5. So that means through week 2, NFL preseason games are 20-8 over under, 71.4% to the under. So I actually think this line should be a few points higher, but because of those results, they didn't have to drop it as much as they should. That's where I think the value is. By the way, Andy, the 28 teams that have won preseason games this year, all 28 have covered. So if you like an underdog, hey, perhaps I'll steal a VR line, sprinkle some of that on the money line. Obviously, the games that tied, the favorites lost, but outright winners have all covered the game, be it favorites or dogs. You look at Carolina, they haven't shown much this preseason. Their offense averaging 207 yards per game. That is number 31. Their defense has played well. They're only allowing 4.38 yards per play. That is number 7. Pittsburgh's offense has had some success. They're number 8 in offense, and they're number 11 in defense. So Carolina comes into this game minus 80 yards per game, Pittsburgh plus 52. Now we know if a team wants to look good in the preseason, you can. So what are these two teams going to do this week? Well, I expect them to do much what they did last week. Obviously, we don't see Rodgers for Pittsburgh at all. Rudolph played 3 series, Skylar Thompson played 5 series, and Woodside finished up the game. Remember, Woodside came in, and he only signed on August 7th. So on the back end of the Pittsburgh, you have a very weak quarterback rotation. Last week, the Steelers quarterbacks combined for 3 INTs. That's why they lost to Tampa Bay. Bryce Young had 2 attempts last week. Dalton had 4 attempts, and Plummer had 14 attempts. The thing that jumps out to me, the Carolina Panthers only ran 43 plays on offense last year. All he wants to do is line up, get this game done, look for a few things. Canales 1-4 over under. Now, Tomlin was an elite preseason coach. He went 18-4 straight up from 2017 to 2023. Last year, 0-3, failed to cover by 28 points per game. So what are we getting this year? This year, they're 1-1. They won the opener. They lost last week to Tampa Bay with those 3 turnovers. So it seems he's sort of going back to where he was wanting to win the preseason. And this quote impressed me. We came out of here and we got to work immediately on Carolina this afternoon. We're working on a short week. We just transitioned, quickly moving to the Panthers. A good deal of energy. It's important not to waste days in transition being back in this environment. We've got a lot of work to do. We're working and working with urgency. Now, after his practice today, he's going to release his quarterback rotations. So if it's favorable, I may be leaning with Pittsburgh here, but I can't give out that opinion until I know the rotations. But clearly, I do like the under 35.5. You said it's low. I think it should be lower. Under, best bet, Steelers, Panthers.
I'll tell you, Ralph, nothing is more exciting than betting an under 36.5 in NFL preseason. You got to be a maniac to watch NFL preseason and be excited for the under 36.5. Oh, man.
You know what? One thing that is scary, and I do tell you this, Andy, is that you see many more pick sixes in the preseason than you do the regular season. So there are times where you have those backup quarterbacks, but if they're slinging the ball around, you can run into trouble in those situations.
I've done decent on some of the alt team total overs, and one of them we cashed on a pick 6. It was a first half easy cash because there was a pick 6. We had the Commanders last night going up against the terrible Bengals defense, and so there are some interesting values in those, but yeah, under 36 at NFL preseason. Ralph, do you have a free play up on your Fear and Nerfy?
Yep,
today?
always, every day, Andy. My free plays are on an 8-1 run. I have a free play every day, Nerfy free play. I do a Nerfy video every day, so check it out on TikTok or YouTube TV. That every day, Monday through Friday, we go through streaks, we go through the starters, go through making you a better, and give you that free play. So check it out, wt.buzz/RM. And remember, you buy September, get the rest of August for free. Last year in college football, number 2 at WagerTalk, behind the red-hot Ross Benjamin. My NFL teasers, 12-1 and 21-5, 81% last year. And NFL and college football plays rated 4% and higher. How about 17-2, 90%? Get the rest of August free by September. That's available for me or any WagerTalk handicapper.
Great stuff, Ralph. It's $5 Tuesday. You already mentioned the special that we have up now, but tell everyone about $5 Tuesday and what you have up now here at the website.
There's nothing better. Every capper is able to load a $5 package. It's a great day to try out guys that you haven't tried. It's a great way to read write-ups. I do have a no-run first inning play available for $5. I also have that free play loaded and load the first inning report daily, WT.buzz/RM.
Ralph Michaels, it is college football season, NFL season. That means we got charts, we got T&A, we got everything galore. Ralph, thank you so much for joining us. Let's have a great Tuesday, and can't wait to do more spots with you. All right, couple questions here. The first comes from Adam. Question about Andy for yesterday's tennis advice about FanDuel. I had Sinner on DraftKings, and he quit down 5-0. Bet was declared void and money refunded. That's because the first set wasn't complete. The issue comes into if the first set gets complete. So let's say Sinner gets waxed 6-0, comes out, loses the first couple games in the second set and retired. That's void on FanDuel. That's a loss on DraftKings. That's the difference. It's all about whether that first set gets completed. But again, please look up the rules. All you have to do is just Google DraftKings tennis rules retirement, FanDuel tennis rules retirement, and it will show you everything. It takes only a few minutes. So that's what happened with that play yesterday. I noticed there was a lot of voids on that one, but it was because of the first set. So let's see. People have brought up AI in using charts and using ChatGPT along with this charts. All right, I'll address using AI in the sports betting industry. I'll do that a little bit later. But Ralph already mentioned it is $5 Tuesdays, guys. And listen, you're throwing money away if you're not taking advantage of $5 Tuesday. Every single capper has their best bet up. There's no reason to not jump on as many as you feel comfortable with. It's the price of a cup of coffee. I mean, no excuses. You stack as many bets as you want, test out new experts, try out your favorite handicapper, grab my best bet, grab Ralph's, grab Bryan Power's coming up, grab as many as you want. As always, bet responsibly. We don't want a ton of our bankroll just on Tuesday plays, but this opportunity is once a week. That's it. So if you miss out, I don't know what to tell you guys. We only run this once a week, so make sure you're taking advantage of these $5 plays. Just don't sit on the sidelines with these. It's a really, really good opportunity to read some good write-ups from some handicappers that you're used to or that you're not used to. So every handicapper has her available. I know mine is up in Dana White Contender Series. It's going to go up right as soon as this show is over because the line just got released that I've been waiting for. So perfect example. Every single Tuesday, my $5 play is going to be Dana White Contender Series. So you already know that this Tuesday, as soon as the show's over, $5 play for Contender Series. So, Dan, let's go all around the world here. Let's do some free plays for everyone. I'm going to go to the WNBA to start off with the Dream at the Aces. I like the Aces over 83.5 on the team total. I think we're getting a little bit of a deflated number here. The Dream have been playing good defense. Last 5 opponents under 79 points, but all of those offenses struggling. The last top offense they played, they gave up 83 points, and the last time they played the Aces, the Dream gave up 87 points. I think this is a couple points too low, so give me the Aces over 83.5 at home on the team total. We're going to the Phillies. We mentioned them earlier. They've been taking a lot of money. I like this play. Drew Martin's looking at the Phillies -1. Phillies have scored 23 runs recently. Miller, coming off of IL for Mariners, gave up 19 runs in the previous 4 starts before the injury. Sanchez for Philly, 5th best ERA. Then we're looking at the Blue Jays at the Pirates. Scherzer for the Jays, giving up 2 earned runs or less in 3 straight starts. What a resurgence from Scherzer. Unbelievable. Keller gave up 6 earned runs last start, and better lineups have had a lot of success against him. So we're looking at the Aces over 83.5 team total, Phillies -1, and the Blue Jays on the money line. We're going to bring in Bryan Power. We're going to talk some college football. We're going to talk some MLB, and after that, I will break down every underdog on Contender Series tonight, see if I can make a case for every single underdog. So Brian, ooh, I love the shirt, Brian. I wore mine yesterday. I see you're getting ready for the Blitz. Testing out the
yes.
company.
Well, yes, a good company man, and also as I messaged Dan while I was waiting to come on the show, very slimming shirt, by the way. I think so. I look good on it, so that's why we keep going with it. So can't go wrong.
All right. Well, Brian, you know what? Let's start with college football here, and then we'll do Guardians and Diamondbacks. So we said, hey, Texas A&M and Oregon future. So the win totals are kind of weird because Texas A&M, I see them good friends that bet online with Dave Mason, 7.5 wins, but way juiced to the over. Oregon, 10.5 wins, but way juiced to the under. So I don't know how you want to talk about, if you want to talk about the future win totals or how you're going to attack these teams to start the season. But let's start with Texas A&M here. Again, 7.5 wins. What do you make of this team going into the season?
Well, as always, Andy, I'm going to get a little creative there, and don't worry, I'm not going to make you lay a ton of juice here with these two bets. Texas A&M. You want to talk about Texas A&M? Now, I broke both of these down on a video I did over the weekend here on WagerTalk's YouTube channel. It was 5 college football futures to bet before the season begins. And I got a little pushback on this A&M one, Andy. So I wanted to clarify a little bit more before I rehash some of the reasoning. The SEC this year, look, the SEC is probably going to get 4 teams in the college football playoff. I don't think it's a hot take. I think most people would expect that. Okay. This is how I generally view, because I didn't mention this on that video I did over the weekend, but this is how I generally view the entire SEC. I'll give you the kind of the real cliff notes. There's 3 teams that don't have a chance: Arkansas, Kentucky, and Mississippi State. Just stop it. They're not going to do anything special this year. There's 5 teams that I think are going to take a step back relative to last season: Ole Miss, Tennessee, South Carolina, Missouri, and Vanderbilt. There's some dark horses that I would like to, maybe invest in to do something special, but the schedules are real hard. Those teams are Oklahoma, Florida, and Auburn. There's 2 legit dark horses, LSU and A&M. I'll get to A&M in a moment, obviously. And then you got the 3 teams that are odds-on favorite to make the college football playoff, those being Texas, Bama, and Georgia. So I said a moment ago, there's probably going to be 4 teams from the SEC that make the college football playoff. So who's going to be the 4th? Last year it was Tennessee who stepped up. I said they're going to take a step back. Are we confident that all 3 odds-on teams are going to make the playoffs? Stranger things have happened. There's question marks at quarterback with both Georgia and Bama. So I was really interested in the dark horses in the SEC. And I'm looking at this Texas A&M team. You mentioned the 7.5 win total. Well, if you don't want to bet A&M, if you're not confident enough that they can make the college football playoff, you can get over 8.5 wins at DraftKings right now, plus 150. And I really, really like this bet. Now, I get, and this is where I got the pushback, the Aggies have largely disappointed in recent years, okay? This will be the 7th straight year that they've opened the season ranked in the top 25. Only once in those previous 6 have they finished in the top 25, and that was the COVID year of 2020. Last year, they go 8-5 in the first season for Mike Elko, but they were an underdog in only 1 game, Andy, and that was the regular season finale against Texas, where had they won, they would have actually gone to the SEC championship game. So I look at this team's results last year. They were way better than that 8-5 record. It was a horrible spot, that Texas game, because they were coming off a 4 overtime loss at Auburn the week prior. So we only need an improvement of 1 win from last year in the regular season to cash this bet. I'm looking at a team that's top 10 in returning experience, avoids Georgia and Alabama in the regular season. They do travel to Notre Dame, LSU, and Texas, okay? But even if they lost all 3 of those games, they still have a chance to win if they win all the other games. I'll have them favored in the other 9 games. So just handling their business would cash a bet at plus 150. Again, I think there's question marks at the top of the SEC. I think a lot of teams are going to take a step back, and there is a void for one of these dark horses to step up, and I think it's going to be Texas A&M this year. Again, I would sprinkle a little bit to make the playoff, but over 8.5 is how I would attack this on the Aggies.
We get a question from Justin P. Do bowl games count in-season wins for college? No. Otherwise, you would see a lot of money on Ohio State.
Otherwise, I'd be feeling real. Otherwise, you would see plus 50 next to that over 8.5. Yeah. So, and for the record, I think they could. I think there's a good chance the Aggies pull an upset in one of those games this year. This was a team that was -4 in net upsets last year. That means the number of games they were upset as a favorite relative to the number of games they went outright as a dog. I get it that this is a team that has traditionally let people down, but I'm a buy low, sell high guy, Andy, as many of the people know that are listening right here. And I just think it's a great buy low spot on A&M this year to not only win 9 games, but possibly make the college football playoff.
Bill was asking just a quick question. Notre Dame at Miami. Opinion, no opinion. Any thoughts?
I'm still breaking that game down as we speak. It's having all this time to break down the week 0 and week 1 games, Andy, it's a double-edged sword because sometimes you can overthink things. I'll be honest with you, Notre Dame was pretty lucky last year to get as far as they did. At the same time, Miami, I think, is a team that might not be as good as they were last year, at least early on. So these are not, and Mario Cristobal, my God, I mean, you get so scared late in the game what this guy could do to set your money on fire. So these are not, honestly, Notre Dame and Miami, my struggle with that game as the season opener for both is I'm not really looking to bet either of those teams right now as we roll into the season.
We need to make that list of like top 5 NFL and college football coaches that you're just most terrified to set your money on fire at the end of a game.
Yeah, I know you can identify this, Andy. We're breaking down so many sports, so many games. A lot of times, you've got to have a short memory in this business if you're a handicapper, right? But I still remember a couple floors down here in the Power home, sitting in my basement. I had Georgia Tech against Miami 2 years ago, and it was a wire-to-wire cover for Georgia Tech. They were getting like 17 points, and the game was about over, and I was getting ready to tweet, well, looks like a nice wire-to-wire win on Georgia Tech. And then Cristobal, inexplicably, instead of running the clock out, just kept running, and they fumbled, and Georgia Tech recovered. Obviously, everyone remembers this game, and they won it right at the end. I said, well, I guess it was an outright win. So, yeah, that was a crazy.
That is an all-time. I mean, that's just an all-timer.
It was. Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
It
wasn't the first time he did it either. You'd think if you screwed up like that, you would never do it again. Oh well, Mario.
Hold by Gatorade. All right, let's move to Oregon. Much bigger total here, 10.5 wins. How do you break down the Oregon Ducks for this year?
Yeah, I'll try to be a little more brief on this one. So I don't want to play the win total on Oregon. So it's juiced. You're right, Andy, heavy to under 10.5. So guess what? Let's take it a step further here as well. Let's bet Oregon to miss the college football playoff. Now, I know this was the only team in the country last year to finish the regular season undefeated, and they got screwed. I mean, absolutely hosed by the dumb way the committee seeded in the first ever 12-team playoff. It was unfair. The Ducks run into Ohio State, obviously the quarterfinals. Ohio State, well, it was my biggest bet of the college football season. Last year was a 5% play for me on New Year's Day. But, you look at the Ducks this year, they lose a lot. Quarterback Dylan Gabriel, who's now in the NFL playing for the Cleveland Browns. They lose their leading rusher, several top receivers, and a lot. I always think when you losing a lot along the offensive and defensive lines, that doesn't get the kind of coverage that losing talent at the skill positions does, but it is every bit as significant. I look at Oregon having to travel to face Penn State. I think there's a chance the Big Ten may not get 4 teams in the playoff this year like they did last year. Ohio State and Penn State, they're getting it, I think. So if what I'm doing, and again, I talked about this on that same aforementioned video I referenced I did over the weekend. What I did is I looked at the 8 teams that are currently odds on to make the college football playoff. That's nationally. I think of those 8, look, all 8 aren't getting in. I think Oregon is the most likely to miss. You can get plus 145 still on the Ducks to miss the playoffs. And a little teaser for this video I've referenced a couple times now, Andy. If you want to go back and check that out here on the WagerTalk YouTube channel, I do have a dark horse in the Big Ten. So if Oregon's going to miss out, who's going to step up in the Big Ten? You guys can all check that video out if you already haven't. I do have a dark horse Big Ten team I like this year that I think will steal the Ducks playoff spot.
Nice tease. Wow.
Thank you.
That was like professional. Like you got to go to school to learn teases like that. That was very good, Brian.
I've been on the show. I've learned a thing or two. You can't teach a dog new tricks, an old dog new tricks.
Well, we're going to talk Guardians and Diamondbacks here, but real quick, tell them about the Blitz. One of the most exciting shows that we have coming up for this football season. So tell us about this one. What can we expect? When does it start?
Yeah, I'm really excited about this. It's right around the corner. We've talked about it, I feel, a few times here on the show, Andy. It makes its debut this Thursday, live, 1 p.m. Eastern, immediately following Andy Lang here on Wager Talk Today. I will be joined by Ross Benjamin and Ralph Michaels, who you just saw in the previous segment here. Very excited. We're going to talk. It's a short card on week 0, so you're going to be able to, trust me, we're going to go over every game. And here's the thing. We'll be taking your questions live as we go on. So if you've got something specific you want to ask, side, total, whatever, come in, watch it live, ask us. We will answer it between Ross, Ralph, and myself. And that will be every Thursday live at 1 p.m. Eastern throughout the season. Really looking forward to hosting the show each and every Thursday. All
right. Let's talk Guardians and the Diamondbacks. We got Rodriguez, the Diamondbacks, BB for the Guardians. What's your take on this MLB game today? It looks like Diamondbacks a little bit of a favorite, over under 8.5.
Yeah. So over the course of the second half of the season, Andy, I'm just going to, throw my cards on the table here. I don't think there's been a luckier starting pitcher in terms of wins and losses than Cleveland's Tanner Bybee. The Guardians are 7-0 in his last 7 starts. Okay. But that is despite the fact that Bybee's allowed 4 or more runs in 6 of those last 7 starts, including each of the last 5. He has an ERA of 6 since July 2nd. So how has the team been winning with Bybee pitching so poorly? Well, inexplicably, what has happened is the Guardians have scored a total of 56 runs in those last 7 Bybee starts, or an average of 8 per game. And what makes that crazy, guys, is the Guardians are not a good offensive team. As a matter of fact, they rank bottom 5 for the year in runs per game. So I don't think these results are sustainable for Bybee if he continues to pitch this way. The Cleveland Guardians are not going to continue just randomly scoring 8 runs per game for the same pitcher. And I think it's pretty likely tonight that Bybee's struggles continue, facing an Arizona team that is top 6 in all of baseball in runs per game for the season. Now, I know it was not a great night at the plate last night for the D-backs. They lose 3-1. That was mainly owed to the fact they were 1 for 8 with runners in scoring position. They actually out-hit the Guardians for the game, guys, but just couldn't get it done when it mattered most in the clutch. I know that the Guardians have been a profitable team to back the last few weeks, but I'm still not a believer. Look, they're my hometown team. Okay, they play 20 minutes up the road on I-77. I've watched this team play in person many times. I don't buy them. They're not going to make the playoffs instead of the Yankees, Andy. This is a team with a minus 32 run differential for the season. And what's even more crazy about the recent surge is they were sellers at the trade deadline and their closer got suspended. So it's really inexplicable what they've done over these last 2 to 3 weeks. And then the final component to the handicap here that you need to know, guys, D-back starter Eduardo Rodriguez, 7-0 lifetime versus Cleveland. I know a majority of those starts were 2023 and before, but he's a lefty. Cleveland's bottom 6 against lefties in WRC plus. And Rodriguez, his advanced stats are a lot better than his traditional stats. His expected ERA, a full run lower than his actual ERA. He's off his best start of the season. I know it was against Colorado, but it was in Colorado where the Rockies are at least respectable offensively. The Rockies are a better offensive team at home than Cleveland is overall. Put it all together. I like the Arizona Diamondbacks to get the job done today.
You think the other starting pitchers for the Guardians are just like,
where is this run support? Yes.
Looking at the hitters, be like, are you guys serious? Could you save some?
Yeah. I know. I feel that every Guardians game is like last night, 3-1 is the final, except if Tanner Bybee pitches. The last game, as a matter of fact, and again, we're always transparent here on the program. I had Miami against the Guardians last game. They went up 3-0. In the top of the first, Miami did. I'm like, all right, it's not like Cleveland's. I said, all we need is some runs. It's not like Cleveland can keep doing this for about. Well, they did, unfortunately, but they haven't done much. I'm telling you, it's not sustainable. You got to put aside recency bias sometimes, guys, and look at the big picture. I just think Tanner Bybee, the fact that he's 7-0 and over his last 7 starts, is about as misleading as anything in baseball over the last 2 months.
Amazing. Bryan Power, it's $5 Tuesday. What do you have up on $5 Tuesday?
Yes, I have I should also mention that Arizona play I just gave you. I liked it. I thought that breakdown was so good. I've made it a 4% best bet. Actually, it was already a 4% best bet before I did the breakdown. So you got that for free. And then I have another 4% best bet up that is just $5. So for only $5 today, obviously you get one for free and then another one for just $5. It's a pretty good deal. Get 2 4% best bets for just $5 total. Up on my page, wt.buzz/BP. If you want to read, if for some reason you wanted to go back and read some of the analysis that Arizona plays up there, but the Another 4% best bet. Again, just $5 like we've all been talking about. I also have a college football best bet up as well for week 1 if you want to beat what I think is going a line move that I think is going to happen.
Awesome. Great stuff, Brian. Can't wait for the Blitz. A lot of good college football content coming your way, brought to you by Bryan Power and Company. Thank you, Brian. Good luck on your $5 play. We're going to do Dana White Contender Series. I know that there was a thing about AI, and I'm always interested to talk about AI, especially in the certain industries. We have to be real careful with AI, with the content. It works great when you're writing articles or when you're writing write-ups, but you got to be really careful with predictions and stats in the past. So someone brought up, like, is Ralph using ChatGPT on the charts? It would be really, really hard to do that because the stats, sadly, coming from AI are not that dependable. Maybe they will be at some point, but right now, I've tried to find stats and they are so far off sometimes, and it's really, really dangerous. So AI is great for giving us analytics on YouTube videos. It's great for telling us, hey, what thumbnails work, what thumbnails don't. It's great for, having an article and fixing up grammar, or making things shorter, making things longer. But as far as predictions and taking stats from the past, it just the technology just isn't quite there just yet. So apparently it's perfect for people in college writing papers. As far as sports stats, not there yet. All right, let's talk Dana White Contender Series before we get out of here. And Dan, nice work on this graphic. Dana White Contender Series dogs. I like that. All right, so here's
I thought
what
you
I'm
would
gonna
like
do.
that. Yeah, beautiful.
Very, very good. I am a sucker for a nice graphic. All right, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to try and make the case for all of the underdogs on Contender Series tonight. We will start with the main event. Delano is a huge, huge favorite against Exposito. I can make the case for this. Exposito's strong, he's stocky, and he's got takedowns. Delano's going to be the much more dynamic striker. We saw last week, if you can get takedowns and hold guys down, you may not get a contract, but you can win a fight. This minus 625 is very scary. It's also scary that these guys at face-offs, Dan, they shook hands and they said, let's make this fight of the night, which means firefight, which means like going for the kill here. So plus 455 on Exposito. Look for takedowns. Look for a crazy fight there. Braden Holmes and Cam Roston. I can absolutely make the case for Roston. He's like 8 inches taller than Holmes. Again, Roston can take guys down. Holmes is going to be your more dynamic striker, but Roston has been here before. He is slow on the feet, but he can work ground game. So if Roston wins, it's going to be by the ground game. Sai Kumar against Louis Lee Scott. Sai Kumar is coming from India. He's terrible. He was lucky to win his last fight. Louis Lee Scott was going to be the big runaway favorite, and then Scott missed weight, and he looked like someone stole his lunch money at faceoffs. He looked so deflated. So if he comes out bummed, that's how Sai Kumar can win. But as far as skill level, it's Louis Lee Scott, and it's not even close. Josh Hockett and Uriel. They want Hockett to win this. Hockett is an insane wrestler. This guy, I believe, played for the 49ers for a little bit. Uriel is a good striker, but Hockett should get this to the ground. The way Uriel wins is a flash knockout in the first, and he can do it, but Hockett has said, why would I strike? Why would I even bother standing and striking? And then Ramiro Jimenez versus Tommy Cuozzi. If you listened yesterday, Jimenez is the guy that fought 3 times in one night at a tournament. This guy's a dog. Dan, I cannot make a case for this underdog. I absolutely cannot make a case. Do you know why? This man had the epitome of I'm happy to be here. He showed up at face-offs. And Dan, you know what happens at face-offs. They get in each other's face, right? This man brought his camera and asked to take a selfie with his opponent. No.
It's never good.
No.
Never good.
No, Jimenez is looking at him like, bro, you are my meal ticket into the UFC, and I'm eating tonight. This is the underdog. I can't make a case. I thought Cuozzi was going to be bigger. He wasn't. Jimenez is bigger. Jimenez has had about a year off to heal. So this is the one underdog. I can't really make the case, which means that he's probably going to win by some insane finish. But whatever. So that's going to be your underdog. The full Dana White Contender Series breakdown is going to go up on the WagerTalk YouTube channel here this afternoon. I wanted to make sure that fight was still on with Louis Scott, who missed weight. And my $5 play is going up right this second now that I have the final props and everything out. So every Tuesday, my $5 play is going to be Dana White Contender Series. Thank you so much, guys. Hit the like button. A lot of great information, a lot of great free plays. Please hit the like button. Just a little token of appreciation to show us that you like what we're doing here. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit that bell. That way you get notified whenever our shows go live. Shows like Wager Talk Today, shows like the Blitz that's coming up, in any other individual game breakdown channel. It's $5 Tuesday. Make sure you grab as many plays as you feel comfortable with. Take advantage of your favorite handicapper. Take advantage of handicappers that you haven't tried out before. Let's make today a big, big Tuesday. Thanks so much for joining us. Don't forget, same time, same place tomorrow here on the Wager Talk YouTube channel. We're going to be doing it again. Good luck on all your plays tonight, and we'll see you tomorrow. Take care.